Hello everybody and welcome back to the P1 podcast live from Tommy's car. That's correct, we are here after qualifying and...
It's a quali.
What even happened? What went on? A lot of things. Let's dive into qualifying, shall we, and begin with Q1. And the bottom five were Bottas, Magnussen, Ocon, Perez and Gasly. But before we do that, we're on the main stage tomorrow. I forgot to shout that out, so shouting it out right now. 11 a.m. If you are at Silverstone, please come. Wind, rain, sunshine or snow. We need you there.
Yeah, please, weather don't be what it was this morning because
Oh
it's
my
absolutely
God,
apocalyptic. And I
so
feel
bad.
for all the guys that had to camp last night.
Yeah.
Horrendous weather. So I hope you're all doing good if you went to Silverstone because it was awful. But yes, it looks better weather, so fingers crossed.
Maybe. We'll see. But yes, back to Q1, the bottom five. And obviously, the thing we need to speak about is Logan Sargent making out of Q1. Maybe. No, we'll get on to that. But it is, of course, Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez. Just as we're going into this new wave of Daniel Ricciardo hype, we literally spoke about it yesterday, did we not? About how we felt sorry for him, give him a break, let him just try and cook up something, and then he goes and bins it in the gravel.
Funny enough, we said for Helmut Marko, I don't think this is going to work, doing the Daniel Ricciardo thing, and now he's done they've done the opposite of what they did before, where it's like, 2-year contract, can you pick up the performance? No. Okay, you might get replaced. Can you pick up the performance? No.
So what other options can they do? I mean, they've done both. They've gone, he'll get better, and then they've gone, you're going to lose your seat. What happens now? I think that...
It's just so bad, isn't it? So bad. Such a high-profile error. It's not even like he's just there in ninth or whatever again, and obviously we'll get into it, but Max wasn't lighting up the timing screen, so they even if he was ninth, you go, oh, well, Max is fourth or whatever, so it's fine.
With damage, by the way.
With damage, yeah, but still.
Yeah.
But to go off...
Yes,
right
are indeed. Question from Arthur S4N. Do you think Checo's seat is finally up for grabs?
We've had this
I think
conversation every race.
This isn't the first time, nor the last time we will probably talk about a poor Checo performance this year. He's clearly in a massive rut at the moment. But Horner said, look, there are 2 McLarens, there are 2 Mercedes, there are 2 Ferraris. We need 2 Red Bulls. He said that before. He said it again. You've got Helmut Marko saying they're going to be assessing how Daniel Ricciardo does by the summer break. Daniel Ricciardo, he made out of Q1, but he actually qualifies 15th. Sonoda, I think, was 13th.
Christian Horner has been very supportive of Sergio Perez. He made the decision, he took a bit of a risk to do it. And the fact that Perez went off and it cut to Christian Horner on the pit wall and he actively shook his head. Horner will know he's on the camera at that point.
Oh, yeah.
That's a message. That is a message to be like, we're not taking this anymore.
It's all well and good being slow or being off the pace, but then combining that with crashes, with mistakes in Q1, you can't do much more to make your seat vulnerable.
It's funny because as fans, a lot of fans have been very critical over Red Bull and slandered them for the way they approach their drivers. But equally now everyone's going, oh my God, Perez is useless, get him out of the seat. And it's really bad, but we're having this conversation again and again.
But we have to, if you're going to spin out in Q1, it is of course going to be a topic for conversation. Another thing to mention is an apology that we have to Alpine. We of course spent time with both Ocon and Gasly this weekend. Well, you'll be seeing some of that very soon. And they're 18th and 20th, which, I mean, Gasly, of course, he's starting in the back anyway, so I'm sure there wasn't too many risks taken after his little off in free practice 3. But Ocon, obviously being 18th, not ideal considering the only driver he beat was someone that was beached in the gravel. So just as they were looking good. So Alpine have had a bit of a stinker this weekend so far.
Yeah, that's what you get when I bold surprise.
Go on, say about the clean sweep that you noticed in Q1.
Yes, the clean sweep I noticed in Q1, and obviously those that listen to the podcast on a regular basis will know that every driver I do biggest good surprise. They have a shocker. Valtteri Bottas, he was out. Every person
qualified by Zhou.
Which never happens. Magnussen, you flopped, which is the curse.
With his teammate up in
sixth. And our other curse is every time we interview drivers, they go out. And
well, actually, you even said to Ocon, mate, well, the last time we interviewed you got a podium the next race. I think saying that and putting it into the atmosphere has made things a lot worse.
You never know. It might rain tomorrow and who knows.
And they'll finish 19th and 20th. Let's go to Q2 then, shall we? And the bottom 5 were Sargent, Tsunoda, Zhou and Ricciardo.
Who's our first one? Charles Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc. What's the first question? Barked TV. Has Matt booked the therapy yet? I feel like, again, similar to Perez and whether he's going to lose his seat, I feel like this question's been asked a lot over the last couple of years. I was surprised. That Ferrari were as bad as they were. I think Fred even said these kind of conditions we're going to be we should be competitive in. And they weren't. They just weren't. Of course, Leclerc being out-qualified by Sainz, who did make it through the Q3, but then had some scuffles that kind of ruined his chances of anywhere near the front. But back to Charles, I haven't seen any of the post-quali debriefs, so I haven't loaded up with excuses. But what I will say is that it was depressing to see.
They had such a good start to the season. They were delivering every single weekend, not making any mistakes. They were always delivering the maximum. And
then we
now
the P1 extra video of can Ferrari win the Constructors' Championship? And they've scored about 4 points since then.
Mistake after mistake. This is a painful thing. The top Ferrari-powered car wasn't even a Ferrari. It was Nico Hülkenberg in a house. Let that one sink in.
Okay, and then in Q3, we had Russell, Hamilton, Norris, Verstappen, Piastri, Hülkenberg, Sainz, Stroll, Albon, and Alonso. So
a Brit 1-2-3.
A Brit 1-2-3. Enjoyed the comments of us being called British bias because we were even discussing the fact that they would be a 1-2-3 Brit podium. How you like us now? First question comes in from ODW9745. Mercedes are back. Championship back on. For God's sake, we use this phrase far too much.
And for every different team.
Yes, this is now Mercedes championship back on. No, I will not even entertain the fact that Mercedes are back in this. Yeah, they're back in it for this weekend, and they might be for future weekends, but they're so far behind that there is no chance of a championship fight between Mercedes and Red Bull. But what I will say, that grid has a Brit 1-2-3 collision written all over it. All three of those Brits will want to win this Grand Prix more than Monaco, more than maybe even a world champion. Maybe not that. But to win in front of your British crowd, when there's three of you at the front.
Opportunity. Max is down in fourth, yeah.
Max is down in fourth. We don't know exactly how much damage he was carrying and how much time he was losing in qualifying. But you've got Russell, who's off the back of a victory. You've got Hamilton that hasn't won since 2021, and it's his first front row start of the year. And then Lando Norris. Yeah. It is so
good.
Finely poised.
Yeah, it really is. Mercedes, what form? And totally agree with you. Wouldn't say championship back on. And again, it's another team. We've gone Ferrari championship back on, McLaren championship back on, Mercedes championship back on. What I'd say to that is Max will take it all day at being different teams every single time. That is what is going to make it struggle.
He'll take it until he gets beaten by all four of those cars, and then they start eating at his championship lead regardless. Yes, it's as much as that grid, it's very finely poised, and actually it's probably for the best. The race that we have tomorrow is going to be so exciting because in my head and in my brain, McLaren fumbled that pole position.
Oh my word! So
I believe they were the fastest car. It was difficult conditions out there. Don't get me wrong. It was a very slippery track. It was green because obviously it had been washed. All the grip had been washed away. And
I said to you before Q3, especially, and we'll get into Max's damage, but Max didn't look like he was in it because of the damage of him going off in Q. We did actually mention that in Q1. Obviously, him running wide, he looked like he was almost going to go out at one point, which was crazy. But it really did. I was like, Lando surely got this.
Yeah.
And I think Lando is going to be absolutely kicking himself that when he's been incredibly quick. McLaren have looked the fastest. Max has got damage and almost got knocked out of Q1, and he's on the same row. I think that really is going to be like, how have I ended up here?
And it's testament to Max Verstappen once again. Like, we can talk about, he had damage. Red Bull won the fastest car, and yet it's quite clear he had damage. He went through that gravel very hard in Q1. And yet he's still, as you say, on the second row of the grid, next to his closest championship rival, who is miles behind anyway. He's got a great opportunity to still do something great. I imagine he'll be on the podium. So it's disappointing because, of course, with McLaren starting third and fifth, they should have had at least one car on the front row. And maybe it's because our biggest good surprise to team for the first time ever that they decided, you know what, actually, no.
And Oscar was unlucky as well, of course, which you called when we were watching it, that when they were all coming out the pits, we were going, hang on a minute, like Oscar and all the cars on the Wellington Straight, look, we were looking at the time going, this is not, they're not going to get round in time. And they did, but they were all too close to each other.
Yeah.
They couldn't get a gap.
Yeah. And I do wonder whether that rule's going to change, because I thought they weren't allowed to stop in the pit lane and manage a massive gap, and yet they still sort of do it, and there's no real investigation anymore. But
because I don't think they do it. Yeah, I don't think they do it on purpose. But well, I mean, it's getting borderline. You know, they could Alonso Hungary.
Yeah. I don't think. Well, you say that. I don't think they mean to. They know there's 2 minutes 10 seconds to go, and there are 6 cars waiting behind. Oh no, just manage the gap. Yeah, let whoever it is in front and then go. How is that allowed? I don't get it. Because the cars behind are stuck. They can't do anything about it.
They will do something.
Yeah, 100%. There's going to be teams complaining about that and saying, well, look, we can't pass in the pit lane and there's cars stopping. So not for me, because I want to see everyone finish a flying lap. The risk should be you're the last at the pack, which means someone might go off ahead and you get the yellow flag. That's as much of a risk as I think is fair, not that people are stopping in the pit lane ahead of you and then you all have to race to the line and, yeah, bizarre. Okay, so that's that. We've mentioned about McLaren.
Max's damage, maybe.
Max's damage. I don't know the extent to Max's damage.
No, it looks... You've got to think that Max had some damage in that session, of course. He went over the gravel. He had a few moments during his lap that looked a little bit sketchy, and they will be able to repair that. They obviously can't do anything to the setup, but if there is damage, they'll be able to repair the floor, which will give them a great chance. And in a weird way, Max Verstappen, the inevitability of Max, like you said earlier, in a session like that, he could have so easily been 9th, 10th, even out, and he's 4th. Or in the gravel, and he's 4th.
He was nearly in the gravel.
And
he was in the gravel.
Still got a very good. He's still got a very good chance to win the race. So
he certainly does.
It'll be fascinating tomorrow.
It really is. It really is. And then, of course, Nico Hülkenberg, 6th on the grid.
Wow.
Deserves a massive shout out he's amazing around this circuit. Like, he's just got a feel for this circuit like not many other drivers do. So Nico, 6th on the grid in a Haas.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable performance from Hülkenberg, has to be said. That wasn't even a pun.
Has to be said. And also, Alex Albon, 9th on the grid. Williams looked really good today. Logan Sargent, of course, made it through to Q2. I will say that I think every session, Logan was out-qualified by Albon quite extensively. It wasn't and it's almost an expected thing for Logan to have made it through to Q2, because he was properly celebrating it. But Albon obviously up in 9th, showing that the Williams did have speed this weekend. So it'd be interesting to see if they can score a point or two, because they haven't looked great recently.
No, they've not got many points on the board. If Hülkenberg's up there, more points for Haas, who are scoring a lot of points at the moment.
They really are. And that pretty much sums it up. That wraps it up. We have got an amazing race ahead of us tomorrow. A bit sad that we're not going to be live on Twitch, but also we're here at the race. So let us live once, please. I'm sorry. But come along to our main stage performance at 11 a.m. tomorrow. We cannot wait to see some of you over there. It's going to be terrifying, but also amazing. Fingers crossed. Tommy, what are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts are super generic, and can't wait for the live show on the stage. amazing experience last year, so going to be good again. And the race is so beautifully poised. Even if it doesn't rain, the grid is very tasty indeed, so bring it on.
But it looks like it is going to rain because it's been chaotic weather the last few days.
It's hard to know which one we want, really. Like I think the good thing is it's nicely poised either way.
I'm looking at the weather right now. Sunday, rainfall at...
Bang on, isn't it?
Pretty much just before the race. That'll probably change 12 more times by tomorrow, but we'll see you very soon. Thank you to everybody that's... Oh, my mum's ringing me. My mum is ringing me quickly. Mum, say goodbye to the podcast. Thank you. Just say bye, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Thank you for the podcast.